Alright, y'all. So when this hire first dropped, people immediately understood why it mattered. Tanner Engstrand comes from one of the most efficient and quarterback friendly passing environments in football over the last few seasons. And the excitement isn't just about a title, it's about the idea. This is a coach whose recent work directly aligns with what Atlanta is trying to build offensively. And when you dig into the tape, you quickly understand why the reaction was, as big as it was. And once I got to digging into what he actually did in Detroit, one of the reasons why this hire matters, and it may sound like it's very simple on the surface, is how Tanner used all 5 eligible receivers to stress the defense. And that's not a given in today's NFL. A lot of coaches are content with putting their running back on check and releases or just treating the tight end purely as a safety blanket, but that's not how Tanner operates. In Detroit, he was in an environment where the running back and tight end weren't just afterthoughts, they were featured stress points. And this isn't theoretical, it clearly shows up on the tape. So instead of just talking about it, let's go ahead and roll into the film and talk about, how Detroit consistently used all 5 receivers, or eligible receivers rather, and leaned into more empty formations and manipulated coverage to give the quarterback clean answers. Because once you see how they're doing it, the appeal of this hire becomes very obvious. All right, so this is the first one right here. Now, once again, I talked about the empty formations. We're going to get into that, but still, I talked about how he uses all 5 wide, or all 5 eligibles, including the running back, to really stress the defense. Now, let's look at this one because I really like this design, because I think we've done something similar in 2025, but it was Zach Robinson, so who really cares, right? But at the top of the screen, we're going to get post wheel, okay, and then the number 2 is going to run their wheel route, obviously, and that's going to be 1-2 in the progression. Then we're going to get this short motion by Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's going to be running the shallow cross. And you're going to get Sam Laporta running the dig. So now you got drive to progress to, and then you're going to get the running back sitting right here. Okay, and if you know anything about drive, it is a triangle read. Offensive coordinators love the triangles because it creates a triangle right here for the quarterback to read. So look at that, all 3 points, and they all make that triangle. Okay, and then once you pair it up with the 1-2 that really stresses the defense vertically, you can really start to undress the defense and then really understand what they're doing, and then go from there. Okay, because when we get to the defense, what they're doing is, so you're going to get this short motion in, this guy's going to kick inside, he's going to come down over Sam Laporta, and then they're going to go into a cover 3 match. Okay, so he's going to rotate towards the middle. If anything about cover 3 match, it's pretty much he's going to follow this guy, this curl flat defender, he's going to follow him vertically as well. And then you got the 2 regular hook droppers, and since number 2 went in, which would be the new number 2, which is Sam Laporta, no, my fault, Amon-Ra St. Brown, since he went under, this guy was zoned off into a regular curl flat zone. And once Jahmyr Gibbs comes, he's going to kind of entertain him, but once he's going to stop, he's going to leave him alone. And also, when this motion becomes number 1, he's going to man him up all the way. So that's pretty much how it goes. And once again, these guys are just regular hook droppers right here. It gets kind of messy, but you're going to see what I'm talking about. So we're going to get this motion by Amon-Ra St. Brown. So now let's look at it. Let's look at it how it plays out in real time. So we know, all right, in cover 3 match, the outside third players, this is these guys, they pretty much have all of one outside and deep. Okay, so unless he goes under within 5, he's gonna zone off, but he's not. So both of these guys are taken out because we know they're running 3 match. So we know these guys are locked on man to man. Okay, let's look at the number 2 receivers now. So we know that this guy's going to be going vertically. So guess what? He's taken out of the picture now because he has to lock onto that man to man. All right, this number 2 went underneath. Okay, so now this guy just has to zone off and just worry about the next threat, which would be Jahmyr Gibbs, who's going to just kind of sit right here, okay, and create that triangle read. So now as we watch this play through a little bit more, you're going to see how it takes shape. So with this guy rotating towards the middle of the field, is going to create some a void in the middle of the field that's normally not there if it was just like a regular cover 3 where you're not disguising it, right? And so now Jared Goff sees that window opening, and also it helps that once again Jahmyr Gibbs is a viable threat as a receiver. And also in this coverage, we always teach the hook droppers, you relate to the running back if he's a number 3 or if he's a fast 3 threat on your side. So he has to relate to him in a sense because number 3 went out on a route, so he's going to favor him a little bit more, but he's going to open up this void, and he's going to kind of just sit over here and kind of favor that. But it's going to open up the void for this dig over the middle of the field, like I said, that little intermediate window. And that's a very good design because look at that. He's going to favor that guy. He's going to favor that guy. And we also teach the grass green rules with this shallow cross. You're going to sit it down at the opposite end of the line of scrimmage. and boom, you occupy these two guys, and guess what? You manufacture a big void over the middle, and that's a catch. Plus 15 with the unnecessary roughness, and that's a very good design. All right, so before this play starts, we did motion Amon-Ra St. Brown. Ooh, let me fix that real quick. We motioned him over to create a 3x1, okay? And let's look at what's going on. So we're gonna get a stop route right here by this guy. I think this is like a middle read route by Jameson Williams. So he's gonna run to about a certain point, and he has an option to convert to a post or keep going down the seam based off the coverage shell. Now, I think it also does this too. All right, but it just really, I'm not really sure. I don't have the playbook, but that's what my assumption is, because I'm not gonna really just sit up here and say he's gonna just strictly run a seam route no matter what. Okay, but then you're gonna get this like stop, and he's gonna keep going in, and then on the backside you're gonna have a dig by the tight end. You're gonna get Jahmyr Gibbs out wide. Okay, and this is, I'm not gonna lie, like this right here is one of my favorite things to do on the backside of a 3x1, because it makes it so much simpler for your quarterback, because now you know on the backside of a split field coverage, which is, this is Buffalo by the way, you know that this guy has to relate to the running back now. Okay, you usually get man coverage right here, and since now we're in a cut split inside the numbers, we're gonna manufacture that outside leverage. All right, so now it becomes a clear read if you want to take that matchup. All right, we got a backside dig, we got a running back fast to the flat. If this guy shoots out there with him, we have the dig, and we can beat this safety on the throw. Okay, and that's pretty much exactly what happens. So Jared Goff understands that. So when you watch this play through, okay, you see down, we're pretty much getting man coverage right here anyways, but look at that. So you're gonna see how these guys just flare out there, they push out to the running back, okay, and you see it's going to create that void over the middle of the field, and boom, it's an easy catch. So imagine this being Kyle Pitts and Bijan, and then you motion over Drake London to a 3x1, and now he has the attention of this guy because he's the best receiver on the team. But also you have a vertical presence right here with Jameson Williams, once again, who's running down the seam. And I also didn't really talk about this, but this is obviously a very good play design, but like, you create your answers for your quarterback, because you motion, once again, you motion Amon-Ra St. Brown across the formation, because look, we look at the beginning of this, right? He was on the other side of the formation. You see how nobody ran with him? We know it's zone coverage now, so we know where we're going to go. Now, I did say it was manually, but that's my fault. Nobody really moved with him. And as you can see, if somebody were to go over with him, we know we have man coverage now. And so this guy would be sitting in the middle of the field. And guess what? Now we can really take the shot right here if we like it, or we can hold this safety in the middle of the field. We can move his eyes that way and throw the shot down the seam with a very fast guy on a nickel or a linebacker, depending on how you want to draw that up. But I had to correct myself right there. But still, overall, very good concept, because you're using all 5 guys to stretch the defense, not only just horizontally, but vertically too. Now let's get into the main subject of this video, which is how he uses empty formations. So if you didn't know, empty formations, they can really undress a defense. Now look at this. This is Jahmyr Gibbs and this is Tyson Campbell, okay? You're probably asking, why is that significant? Well, it's because you're using this to undress the coverage, okay? Because if this was a linebacker or safety, we know we get man coverage right here, okay? So we know where to go. But since we know this is a corner, you're going to be getting zone coverage. So they're going to motion in Jahmyr Gibbs and create a stack at the snap. And he's going to be running the shallow cross, and he's going to sit across on the opposite tackle, right? Then what we're going to get on the front side, we're going to get a mandatory outside release to hold this corner, or to really just get him out the way. We're going to run dagger with the 2 and the 3, okay? And remember, this guy can either keep going across like this if it's single high, or split the safeties if it's middle field open. And then we're going to get a chip right here by the tight end. He's going to pretty much be running a return route. So he's not just necessarily just having guys run routes to run routes. They're very intentional, okay? And when you watch this, it gives Jared Goff a clear signal. First of all, he already knows it's going to be zone coverage, all right? So he knows where he wants to go. It's just a matter of what are we going to get post snap. So he confirms coverage, but look at where he's looking now. He's looking at that safety, all right? He's looking over here. You can tell based off of, you know, his helmet. And so now he's looking at what's happening. He sees him just dropping straight back. So normally what this means is he's going to just be favoring the strength of the formation, but they're still going to be playing zone coverage, all right? So he knows that this clear out, we know this clear out is going to be taking him away, which is going to open up this void right here. It's going to be a small window, but it's going to open it up. And this is a very good linebacker right here, I think. Unless this is Foyer right here. I think this is Foyer right there, though. But either way, Very good second level defender right here. Yeah, that's Foye. So he got enough depth right here. But either way, it took out this safety right here, and it puts this guy in a trail position. And boom, it's an easy catch over the middle because how they operated or how they manufactured this. Because look at this. Also, when you have a threat, once again, a receiving threat, it's going to draw the attention of these guys. And you see how he got him moving this way, which he created a space for him to hit this ball right here. Wouldn't be there if this running back wasn't a threat. He just kind of sit there and look at him, okay? And you see this, boom, he catches it right where he pretty much vacated. And it's a 23-yard gain right there. Good stuff. All right, so now we get to this play right here. This is a little different. They're not going to be doing the same thing, obviously, but what we're going to be getting, hitch seam at the bottom of the screen. Now, if you watch one of my last videos about this, you understand how I feel about this. It was a Penix video. Go check that out, by the way. It's a hitch seam concept at the bottom. All right, and remember, if we get cloud or press or whatever, this is going to convert to a go unless it's just actually locked right here, but it typically is like this. And then we're going to get this corner route by the number 2, and we're going to get a switch release right here by the 1 and the 3. Okay, so this is what it looks like. We know if we get zone, we can go right here to our zone beater. We know if we got man coverage, we can go right here. Okay, but either way, the way that the Jaguars are playing this, when they go empty, because like you saw last play, they rotate the safety down and they're going to play single high. Okay, so this is a very good adjustment right here. So we know they're going to go single high. Bet we're going to attack hitch seam right here on the weak side, and we're going to look this way and then throw to the seam the other way. Like, this is amazing right here, because look at this. Once it plays out, you see he's going to look at that safety, see where he's going. Oh, he's rotating to the middle of the field now. Okay, bet I could throw this seam right behind him, because now I know this guy's going to be kind of occupied for a little minute. All right, bet I got to just put a perfect ball right on the numbers for Amon-Ra St. Brown, and boom, he catches it right there inside the numbers. And it's an explosive play again, but it's also predicated off of, look, we know they rotate down strong, so let's go ahead and throw behind them. We know the safety is going to be rotating from the weak side of the formation to the middle of the field. Let's throw behind him. And he, like, you would probably say, oh, that's number 6's fault. Nah, not really, because, you know, once you know the defense's rules, you could take advantage of it. He's just doing his job, right? And number 6, I'm like, hey, I'm just going to do my job, rotate to the middle of the field. But here comes Amon-Ra St. Brown down the seam. So if you really want to blame somebody, you probably want to blame him because he didn't squeeze the seam like he should have. Because, you know, I'm probably playing off coverage on this guy, right? I'm not saying Jahmyr Gibbs is just like not a good receiver, but if I'm a corner, I'm going to play off coverage because I'm probably going to get a seam from this guy. Okay, because now when you back it up, let's just look at it again, right? Number 2 is on the ball, y'all. And if you didn't know, like when you look at these spread formations, if you get one guy on the ball, you can probably assume he's going to go vertical, right? Okay, especially when we get into these trip sets, right? We have 2 on the ball. We can expect something vertical, okay? But this guy's off the ball. I'm backing up if I'm a corner. That's me personally. But, you know, either way, good play design for these guys, and they took advantage of it. And it is not just creating these split field reads when you go empty. He does a good job of doing pure progression. So now you see that the 49ers, they're in man coverage because now there's Fred Warner out there on Jahmyr Gibbs. They have the guy that can go out there and lock up man to man. So what we're going to get a motion by Jahmyr Gibbs. Is going to create a dirty bunch at the snap. He's going to be running the shallow cross. Okay. Then you're going to be getting an OTB by, I think it's going to be this guy right here. Okay. So we're going to get shallow cross right here. Then we're going to get curl flat by the 1 and 2 right here by the tight end and Jameson Williams. I think this is him. All right. Then you're going to get Amon-Ra St. Brown chipping and then getting out into his route. So he created a good pure progression right here. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. This is a good progression based concept out of empty. Okay. So let's look at how it plays out, because we know we get man coverage, and right, you're going to create this miscommunication between Malik Mustafa and Fred Warner at the snap. Okay. Because both of these guys run, they take 2 with 1. Okay. And also let me look at this now that I'm seeing the stem of the routes. It was actually the other way around. So you're going to get the OTB, then the shallow cross. So it's really going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and then that 5 is right here. So that's my bad. But look at that. You're going to see it's going to do the same thing. It's a really consistent progression based read. And look at that. That miscommunication manufactured a wide open tight. Like, he catches this ball. Look at the guys around him. How did he get that wide open? Like, come on, man. This is some good stuff right here. So he catches this ball, and they were able to get another explosive play off of this. They were very explosive out of empty in 2024, and you see why. And this is probably my favorite play because I do like hitch seam a lot, although I did kind of criticize the use of it, but that was mainly for young quarterbacks, okay? But this is a very good design right here, in my opinion. So what we're going to be getting, if like I said, if you don't know what hitch seam is, we're going to just do it again. Okay, we got the hitch on the outside right here. And remember, this converts versus cloud or press, okay? And at the top of the screen right here, gonna be a little bit different, okay? So we're gonna get this guy Jameson. He's gonna be running off the coverage, and then you're gonna get a split release right here. He's gonna be running the seam route, okay? That's gonna be the difference. And then we're still gonna get the seam route right here by the number 3 receiver, okay? And we're gonna get the juke route by Amon-Ra St. Brown. Remember, he goes up at top, and then he can either break out or keep working across the field. Okay, very good design. You just kind of make it look a little bit different based off of the defense. Now look at this. You're in dime, and you got all these guys walked up. You know all these guys aren't coming, but even if they all are coming, you have your answer right here. Okay, you also have another answer right here if you want to throw that, but that's a crosshash throw. I'm not throwing that personally, but still, let's look at how this plays out, because they're going to hit the seam route right down this, literally right down the seams, because these are the seams right here. Okay, if you didn't know, these are the seams, and they're going to hit this pass right down there. And Jared Goff does a very good job of understanding where to go with this ball, because look, these guys were at the line, right? They had to drop out at some point and get to their landmarks, and that's going to create, once again, it's going to create these windows in the intermediate part of the field that normally isn't there. And look at how this happens. So these guys, they had to get attracted by the best receiver on the football team. Let this be a Drake London. But look, you have 2 guys coming open in the seams right here. So it shows how good of a play designer you are if you have multiple guys open. Okay, and look at that. He has multiple guys open. He just had to pick which one he wanted to throw to. He wanted to throw to his big tight end. And look at that. Now you're 1st and 10 inside the red zone. Like, some very good play designs by Tanner right here. Now, I will say, for the people who kind of are skeptic about it and saying, well, you're looking at plays Ben Johnson called, and I understand that thought process, but when you look at how things are, you know, structured in the NFL, right? You have a pass game coordinator for a reason. The pass game coordinator designs the pass plays. Same with the run game coordinator. They all work together to create these plays, present them to the head coach, and I'm like, okay, this is what we're going to put in the game plan. And he yes or knows it, and then boom, it's in the game plan. So if you didn't really think that he had a hand in these plays, then I just taught you something right there that you didn't know. But when you zoom out, this hire makes sense for the reasons that go beyond scheme buzzwords or surface level production. Tanner has shown that he understands how to weaponize all 5 eligibles, or really how to simplify the picture for the quarterback and how to stretch the defense without needing gimmicks. And that matters. Now, they did use gimmicks a lot. You know, the trick plays were there, but it really matters if you were that effective without them, okay? Especially in an offense that was built around versatility, space, and letting this playmaker dictate the terms. And if Atlanta is serious about building a pass game that's efficient, flexible, and quarterback friendly, this is the type of coaching addition that makes, you know, those things go in the right direction. So if you enjoyed this breakdown and want more film-driven content on where this offense is headed, make sure you like the video, subscribe, and tap in with the channel. Drop a comment and let me know what you think about this hire and what would you want to see over the next few days in terms of like additions, or especially like video ideas too. But we'll keep rolling through the tape and breaking these things down the right way. See you guys later next video. Goodbye.